welcome to the Dave Whitty Show. I'm your host, Dave Whitty. Episode 8 is here, 2 months into making a podcast. Who would have thought? Thanks to everybody who's tuned in so far. Thanks to all my guests, and thanks to everybody who's sent along some nice messages. And big thanks to Mallory Johnson last week. Loved having that chat. Awesome person. Really neat story. Loved catching up with her and chatting about her new single, Wise Woman. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you do, and all the stuff that goes along with it, the video, and there's a show, and all the neat things. So big thanks to Mal for popping on last week and taking time out of her day to have a chat with me. Beautiful weather in St. John's this week. I mean, today was absolutely fantastic. I'm recording this intro here on the 23rd, and today I think it was a record-breaking day in St. John's for temperature-wise. So, I mean, it was beautiful. Got outside, did a bunch of things in the yard, and got some of the dog shit cleaned up, and got the shed rearranged a bit. Had the barbecue out, had a little barbecue, and looking like it's going to be another great day tomorrow. So, looking forward to getting outside and embracing Mother Nature while she's here, while it's nice. Big news coming tomorrow, I'm assuming, from the Chief Medical Officer, Janice Fitzgerald, and the government regarding COVID here in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. Currently we're in level 4, which is basically full-blown lockdown. I mean, there's a couple things open, but obviously there's no bars or pubs or anything like that, so my work is definitely out. Talks that they're moving to level 3 this week, which would mean that restaurants would open at 50% capacity. And a bunch of other stuff that would really open up the province a bit more. I mean, no cases again today. I don't think there's been any new cases in the last 6 or 7 days. And I think there's only 2 active cases. So big congrats to everybody in Newfoundland, and way to go. Really killed that thing fast. I mean, that came on with a fury. That the variant, and it was, fast and furious, but we had, we pinched that thing, and here we are. We're back to almost no cases, no active cases, no new cases. So fingers crossed that tomorrow's news will bring some positivity, and that we get back to a more kind of normalized life, kind of maybe like what we had last year a bit there. It'd be great to get out and see some people, and get out and love to be playing some gigs, that's for sure. Got another great guest on today, Niall Hickey of the Newfoundland Embassy. Great pub here in downtown St. John's. I've done some gigs at the Embassy over the years, last couple of years or so, and just a great little place. If anybody's been to Newfoundland, you probably poked your head in there. Really great atmosphere, tons of beer on tap, incredible food. Really fun place to hang out, fun place to play, and the owners, Niall and Brendan Hickey, are just 2 class act dudes. They're awesome. I've known both of them for a little while. They both worked at a pub I used to play at, Aaron's Pub here, and they took the plunge into the Newfoundland Embassy, and they do great things for the community, and they're just overall really great guys. I mean, young dudes who took on this pub. I mean, they've had some tough things happen to them, obviously with COVID and shit like that, but it's hopefully, like I say, with the low cases and stuff like that, we'll all get back opened, and guys like Niall and Brendan can get back to their livelihood of running that real cool pub. So make sure you do stick around for that interview with Niall. It was really fun chatting with him. I mean, he's a real cool dude, easy to talk to. Loves the community, loves the pub, loves the patrons who hang out at the pub, and just got a real good attitude and great positive outlook. So yeah, make sure you stick around for that chat with Niall. Like I say, the cases are going down, guys. COVID is kind of going away here again. The vaccine rollout seems to be moving at a slow and steady pace. So hopefully we can push that up a bit, and everybody can feel a little bit safer, and we can get back to a bit more of a normal life. Watched a lot of basketball this weekend. NCAA March Madness, super fun. I mean, this got to be one of the best sporting tournaments or sports events, in the world. It's a tournament of 64, one and done. You got college students who are, fighting for their lives. It's very interesting to watch this tournament, because you get a lot of players who are working to make the NBA. You get some players who probably won't make the NBA, and they're going to be playing their last games. So it's a real mix. It's a different style of basketball. It's really run and gun. The defensive strategies are really, really neat to watch if you like digging into basketball. Ton of upsets this weekend. I mean, brackets were busted. My bracket is done. I think I was done on day one. I read after that first upset, the Oral Roberts upset, that I think there was 93 or 94% of all brackets were busted. So, I mean, just another crazy year, especially after it not happening last year. It makes such a big difference to really have that tournament. And there's a few fans. I mean, not full fan base there. On normal years, that when it gets to the Final Four, they're filling Cowboy Stadium, putting 100,000 people in there. So it's a huge tournament in the U.S. I mean, it's super fun to watch. I just love how it's one and done. So anybody could win. So there's a lot of great basketball this weekend. Caught a couple of the Leafs games. Obviously, the Leafs are on a weird schedule right now. I think they're playing 2 games in 11 days. I mean, they had 4 or 5 days off last week. And came back and did back-to-back games Friday and Saturday. Friday was a tough one. I mean, Freddie Anderson was our goalie Friday, and he had a rough game. There's no other way to put it. He had a rough game, and he's had a rough, in my eyes, he's had a pretty rough season so far. And the Leafs have been beat up, no doubt. Not an excuse, but I mean, Freddie's been tough at best. And Saturday came back with Jack Campbell. It was his return. I mean, I'm really rooting for this guy. It's impossible not to root for him. He's you see him. He's tapping all the guys on the backs and on the shoulders. Every goal or every save he makes, he's just super positive. You see him in the post game interviews, and he doesn't take any credit for himself. I mean, this guy got back-to-back shutouts in his last 2 games right now. He doesn't take any credit for himself. He's always praising the troops. So it was really, really good. I'm really rooting for Jack. I mean, I'd love to see him a part of our goaltending situation for years to come. He's a great goaltender. He's fast, quick, gets down, makes saves, eats up a lot of pucks, doesn't really give up too many rebounds. I was really excited to see him take that start on Saturday and to get a win, but a shutout on top of it. So Leafs got some work to do. I mean, there's still lots of hockey left. Winnipeg are really rolling right now. Edmonton are playing well. Montreal just got bit by the COVID bug by the looks. I just read something there about an hour ago that looks like the Habs are going to be shut down for a week or so with COVID precautions and stuff like that. So hopefully they get that cleared up. I mean, that's the first COVID outbreak in the North Division that really postponed any games, and any significant games anyway. So hopefully they get that get it situated and get it figured out, and we can get the North Division rolling again, because it's been some really, really exciting hockey. I mean, not too much to talk about the Raptors this week, or for that matter this year, having a real rough year. I mean, the Raptors are in Tampa Bay. They're playing in Florida. They're not playing at home. All their players have had COVID, and their coaching staff has had COVID, and tons of trade rumors, and anyways, they lost a dirty one last night to Houston Rockets, they lost 20 games straight, and their first game was their first win came against the Raptors. So not really saying much for the Raps. I mean, looks like in my eyes, I think that the best thing they could possibly do right now is probably move some of them big names if they get any value for them, and maybe not a rebuild, but a retool where they could just try to build some key pieces and try to still start from the bottom up. Not quite from the bottom, but try to rebuild what they had a couple years ago, because that was such a fun run. I mean, watching that Raptors run was so much fun, and it was really nice to see that championship come back to Canada. That's pretty much it in the sporting world. Really, really hoping that things move forward here in Newfoundland. We can get back to a bit of normalcy here come Friday, and if that's the case, we'll probably be out around poking around, and hopefully get some gigs back and get to see some faces, because it's been a long couple months for sure. Definitely looking forward to getting back to the Newfoundland Embassy for a couple beers and some songs. So with that being said, I'm going to flip it over to Niall Hickey from the Newfoundland Embassy. So make sure you do stick around for that interview. And I'd like to welcome Niall Hickey of the Newfoundland Embassy to the podcast. How you doing, Niall? Thanks for coming on today, man.
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's a gorgeous sunny day. Nice day today.
It is a beautiful day. Yeah, we're recording here on Monday, the 22nd, for anybody who's maybe listening on Wednesday. But looks like it's going to be a great week here in Newfoundland. I mean, especially in St. John's today, tomorrow, and Wednesday also is to be pretty good temperatures for this time of year. For anybody who's listening at home, can you let everybody know who you are and kind of a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, my name is Niall Hickey. I'm one of the owners of Newfoundland Embassy Pub and Eatery downtown, just right across from mile one there. Been at it now for since August 2019, me and my brother. So
Yeah, and it's a beautiful spot, man. You know, I frequent there often. I've performed there on many occasions. I mean, we're still in lockdown in Newfoundland right now, looking like, fingers crossed, we might get out of this thing by Friday and get back to business here, get down to the dirty again. I think everybody's itching to get out and see some people, and I'm assuming as a business owner, you're probably wanting to get back to it pretty quickly here.
that's the goal, Dave. Honestly, it's been tough. The first shutdown was very long. This one's not so bad this time, and we also have like a clue of what's happening too, but it's tough, I gotta say.
Yeah, no, you nailed it, man. I think the big difference this time around, especially this lockdown, is that everybody has a bit more of a grasp on kind of what this thing is and what it holds. And it seems like as of, the last couple of days, the cases and stuff have really, really gone down. I mean, there's been no active or no new cases. There's still, I think, 5 or 6 active cases in the province. So yeah, like you say, fingers crossed, all things go as planned. But let's dig into a little bit about the embassy here. I want to ask you about kind of what got you started at the embassy. I mean, I first met you and your brother both at Aaron's Pub.
Yeah.
I think you're both employees there. I remember Brendan was behind the bar and you were behind the bar occasionally and on the door and kind of a jack of all trades there when I was down there doing a few gigs. But, what kind of got you into the embassy and what made you head up there?
Well, it's pretty funny. So working for Chris Andrews, shout out to Chris, great guy. Yeah, gave me a lot of opportunities in life. I was on the door since I was 19 years old at Aaron's, and my brother was manager at the time, and he got me a job working on the door. Eventually, I got laid off from my job full time, so I asked if I could get a full time job at Aaron's on the bar, and it fell into that. So it was like around 3 years as a bouncer there, and then started working full time in the bar. Then eventually, Chris had the idea of opening up Newfoundland Embassy, and so of course when he sold the shares of Aaron's and went up that way, I followed him. And within 2 weeks, I was the manager of the bar at the embassy. And it kind of went from there, man. I didn't really have any other jobs lined up besides bartending full time. So I went for it. And then after probably about 2 months of working as the manager for the bar, the guys gave me the general manager position for the whole business itself. So kind of jumped right into it, I gotta say.
Yeah, and I mean, so obviously you guys are the owners there now. I mean, what kind of happened there with the transition to you and your brother taking it over?
Yeah, so after about a year and 2 months, Chris Andrews approached me and said, "Listen, we're thinking about selling the pub, and we'd like to sell it to you and your brother." And it kind of took me aback. At first, I thought he was joking. I kind of laughed and said, "Bye." Yeah, good chance, but. Me and Brian had a chat about it one morning and said, man, what he was doing, it wasn't really his. He was a child and youth care worker at the time. Me, I was managing a job managing the bar, but I didn't know how I felt about it. But the idea of owning a bar, it's like growing up. You always wanted to own a bar. You know what I mean? So thought about it, and we took the plunge, man, and said, why not? Let's try it. Let's see what we can do. And
yeah, I mean, what do you got to lose, really? And I mean, you're both young guys, and kudos to both of you for really jumping on that. That's pretty neat. That I mean, you really been there, especially since the inception, I guess, since the embassy, because you started working there before you guys really took it over. So, I mean, it's really been a love of labor for you guys both, especially yourself being there since really the beginning.
It has, man. Like, honestly, it's so heartwarming seeing the actual bar like grow into something else, because especially when you open up a new bar, it doesn't have much character. You're trying to find stuff for the walls and things like that, but it was pretty cool, man. I gotta say, seeing it grow into something that only just working there, and then all of a sudden all the staff you got all your staff eventually together, and next thing you know, you find out, oh wow, now I'm one of the owners of the business. It was really, really cool feeling, man, I gotta say.
Yeah, I bet. And I mean, the pub is popular amongst folks who are heading downtown. I mean, you got a great kitchen menu there, great staff. I want to talk about all those things in a little bit, but I mean, great atmospheres, live music, a bunch of nights of the week. I mean, really, really doing it well. I know you're in the middle of some renovations as well. I do want to ask you about, but for anybody who's maybe listening from outside of Newfoundland, the location of the pub is it's New Gower Street, right? That's what you call that.
Yeah, New Gower and then Queens coming right down.
Yeah, yeah. So New Gower Street in St. John's is basically the main thoroughfare to get through downtown. Comes right off the highway. So if you're coming from any other part of, if you're coming from Mount Pearl or CBS or basically anywhere else on the island, you get off and you basically land right on New Gower Street, which is in turn right across the street from the hockey rink or the stadium, Mile One Stadium. I mean, in a perfect location. But one neat thing about it is it's actually the old home of the former Lars grocery store, which is iconic. I mean, I remember going there. I remember going there with my grandma when I was really, really young and heading in and Pop would pick up a few little groceries and he'd always get me a custard cone. One really neat thing that I love about you guys is you really kept the spirit of Lars alive. I know on through the side door, it's you're still doing the custard cones. Can you talk about a little bit about what, wanting to keep that spirit alive and still doing the custard cones? And I know you even had some members of the family in and stuff like that when you were really doing that.
Yeah, so like when we first got it, Whitty Crocker is still alive. It's Lars' wife. Winnie is a sweetheart, man. She's like, I think she's like 94 years old now. Still goes to the grocery store, drives her own rig, gets everything herself. It's incredible. And we had a conversation with her saying, do you mind if we do use your logo and the recipe of Lars? Because there's a secret recipe. Like, we can tell you a few things in it, but there's this one thing that you're not allowed to know, because that's what makes a custard cone, the Lars custard cone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was just such a staple in downtown St. John's. Honestly, everybody that lived downtown would always go to Lars because it was always affordable to get a custard cone there.
Mm-hmm.
It was the only spot downtown to get your fresh fruit. The lights in the windows were always
the lights are iconic. I mean, you see it in a ton of paintings that people have done. You see these old pictures that are, on the internet and resurfacing of old St. John's. And one thing that really sticks out is the old hand-painted Lars sign with the lights. I mean, super iconic.
It is, man. It's such a big thing. And one thing we always found funny was people can always judge a person's age on how much they pay for a custard cone. Because like it first started 5 cents, then it was 10, 15, 20. And it's always grew up over time, and people love it, man. It was always an affordable thing. There's some wild times from working there selling cones, and they have a woman come in, maybe she looked around 80, give or take, and she brought her daughter, and then her daughter brought her daughter. So it's 3 generations of one family coming to get ice cream, and the grandmother telling her just the stories of it all and telling me, and it's just like heartwarming stuff, man. You know what I mean?
And interesting too. I bet. I mean, you love to hear that. You guys own that space now. You're making it your own, and I'm sure you love to hear those cool old stories of folks, still coming down to get a custard cone. I mean, I'm always down around in the summertime, walking the dog and stuff, and I'm always walking past the pub. And if it's a nice day, man, there's a lineup. People are down getting custard. People are down getting custard cones. Yeah,
there's lineups, man, and like. It's wild, like having a lady come and say, I haven't had a Lars custard cone in 20 years. And say, well, here it is. I promise you it's the same recipe. Winnie Crocker herself has done this. And you see this lady eat her custard cone and say, yeah, that's it. And it's oh man.
Yeah, that is really, really cool. Yeah. One cool thing I noticed that I think I hope I'm not wrong in saying this. Have you made a drink out of the custard cone? Is there like a specialty cocktail with the custard?
Oh, yeah.
What is that again?
It's the Lars White Russian.
Right.
The White Russian is like an iconic cocktail that you can't really change much. I think there's a dark White Russian with like Lamb's Navy or something like that. But it's just, so we put custard cones in the bottom, and then you get your vodka, Kahlua, and shake that, and it's delicious. It's just like a milkshake.
Yeah, really right. No, it's definitely super nice on a nice sunny day for sure. I mean, I think the last time I played at the pub there, I loved it, man. It's something that'll stick out in my mind forever. It was a great night, great audience around. Everyone was really into the music and, really busy. Everyone was having a great time. Next thing, you come out with a tray of shots, essentially. I'm like, oh, damn, few shots. No, it was little custard bites, man. Like, little tiny little tasters for everybody. Here you go. Everybody have a little custard. And everybody was like, I mean, little stuff like that in business goes a long way. I think like I remembered it. I was playing and I was like, damn, I'm gonna have a little custard cone. I'm playing. I'm down, but I mean, that's great. And that's so cool that you really keep that spirit alive. And I think a lot of people in the city really appreciate it as well. Just like you mentioned, kind of generational families coming down and still getting cones. So yeah, you definitely don't want to get rid of that. I mean, that's a great little feature to have and you got the great little space for it off the side there. You kind of got like a little takeout window for it. So, I mean, that's great. We mentioned that you're right across the street from the rink. I mean, obviously with COVID and stuff going on, it's been a challenging year, but you have been there since before you and your brother had taken it over. Like right now, they're in some big talks about selling Mile One, and I mean, but that's a whole nother ball game. But I mean, what are some of the advantages that you guys have by being right across the street from the pub or from the stadium, you know what I mean, with the events and hockey games and stuff like that? And what do you think about this sale and what it could do to benefit the business?
Well, the advantage of being literally right across the street is it's our bread and butter, man. If there's a hockey game or basketball game, any concert, anything, we are your first stop usually right across the street. Like supper time, right before the games, we're full house. Afterwards, you have 5,000 people walk out of that stadium. I think it's the maximum it holds right now. You have 5,000 people walk out. We need 50, and we're slammed. So it's irreplaceable, man, to have that thing. And when it's shut down, you can tell we take a hit in business. Like that is our best business seller. And if Dean McDonald can buy this from the city, it will be a game changer. I think he's ready to put in like. As his no negotiated price is 25 mil into his stadium. Yeah. That'd be incredible. Now he is talking about putting like a sports bar in there and stuff, but I don't think that would affect our business much.
No, I agree with that. I don't think that would affect you as much because I mean, if you know anything, not you, I'm talking about for people at home listening. If you know anything about St. John's, I mean, you walk out of the stadium and like you say, you walk across the street, you're right on top of the Newfoundland Embassy. And if the people are making their way to George Street or making their way to Water Street, they're still popping past. So, you know, if you got a good crowd in, some live music and stuff, I mean, people are going to pop their head in for a beer and who knows, might stick around for a meal or and it could be return customers and stuff like that. I was, I've played there on occasion when, you know, when the there's been a game on or something, and you're right, you know, pre-game she's rocking, after games she's rocking. So I mean, hopefully we can get the stadium filled back up again soon, and I mean that would be great for the pub for sure. The Embassy is big on live music. I know, like you say, I've played there on occasions. I've done a bunch of gigs there solo. I've done some with Andrew Rogers and Manning, and I know it's a big part of the business. Do you want to talk a little bit about what the live music means to the business and how often you have it? Maybe some of the regular performers you have there. It's not obviously in these few weeks. Obviously we're shut down, but you know, in the coming weeks to come and stuff like that.
100%, man. I find live music in downtown St. John's, it's just so iconic, you know, like there's so many bars doing it, and it's such a nice thing to be able to go out on a Friday night or even Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and stop in at each bar and find a different musician playing that you love. It's huge for us. One thing we've always tried to stick to was we don't charge cover for our nights of music. So usually from like Wednesday to Saturday, live music. I like the idea of not having a cover charge, to be able to come into business, have a beer, listen to your music, and just love it. And man, like, love having musicians down because you know what? They're coming in doing a job for me, and they're killing it. And they're doing such a good job and bringing business to my thing. It's just like it all comes around, you know what I mean? And
absolutely.
I love it. So like people we have pretty regularly, man, like you, of course. But Mike Hancock plays there quite a bit. We had Lee Dunn play for us quite a lot. Fred Jorgensen plays every Saturday. Nick Earl, Daryl Cooper.
I mean, all fantastic musicians, like really, really killer dudes,
and just love it. Like all the musicians, and plus most of them are just buddies. Like, you know, you got Mark Manning come down and play a gig, and Aaron Collins steps in and plays a few things, and it's just love it, man. It's all
I mean, it's such a neat room to play in because you're not up on a big stage. You're basically just kind of kicking it with everybody who's sitting around. And I love that vibe though. Don't get me. I mean, in certain situations, don't get me wrong. If you're playing like, you know, if you were playing at the Rock House, you don't want to be sitting down with the crowd. But I mean, the Embassy is like, it's like you're hanging out in one of the guys' living rooms. Like that's what's the best part about it. So, I mean, whenever you do a gig there, it kind of feels like you're part of the room and you're not such an anomaly up on a stage kind of in a corner. And that's what I always loved. It's like hanging out at your buddy's living room and you're just playing some tunes. It's a lot. It's really,
I love it. And one thing we noticed too is like the ceilings are really low. It's like a salt box type of house thing. And so I find the sounds really nice in the room. It comes together. And especially since you're just in that corner next to everybody, usually the crowd is really receptive and really into what you're playing. So I think it's really special. I love it. I got to say.
Yeah, no, it is. It's a really fun room, and I'm forward to getting back for a few tunes there for sure. I mean, hopefully in the near future. Once again, kind of fingers crossed. I've been following along on social media, Niall. Some of the stuff that's been going on. I mean, in the second lockdown, looks like you're doing some pretty big renovations upstairs. Can you give us a little briefing on what you're doing up there and what the hell's going on? And I noticed you found some funny things in the walls. You want to talk about that for a bit?
Oh yeah, it's wild, man. Never like last lockdown, we tore apart the whole downstairs.
Sorry, I'm gonna ask you. Do you know how old the building is by any chance?
No, I don't. I know downstairs in the very basement, there's walls from Great Fire of 1892. That's what he told me.
Sorry, say that again. I kind of lost you there for a quick second.
No worries. Downstairs, there's a like old brick style work in the basement.
Okay.
And the owner, Johnny Bringing, he spoke to me and said there is soot on some of that brick from the old fire of 1892.
Oh, holy shit, man. That's so yeah, it's been there for a while. So
wild.
Yeah, a little bit about the renovations you're doing upstairs and stuff. I know you're kind of opening up to like a little pool room and
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. Upstairs, man, we put a pool table up there. Any pool, and you're hitting your stick off the wall and stuff, and it's brutal. So this time we got locked down. We said, well, why not? Let's start tearing out the walls again. And of course, Johnny Breen, the owner, he said, no problem. I took two of the walls down in the middle of the room. Opens up the room completely now, which is nice. Now the pool table can move head a bit, so you got room to play pool anywhere you want. Putting in another brick wall. Actually, we opened up with a closet at the corner of the room. Opened up the closet, man. We found a brick chimney going straight up through the building. It's gorgeous chimney too. I don't know if I don't know who was doing renovations who thought to box in a brick chimney with just gyprock plaster. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah, it's funny how that stuff's kind of turned now. You know what I mean? A lot of people maybe in the 70s, 80s were closing that stuff in, and it's it's really coming back around now. The exposed brick and stuff like that. I mean, it just adds such charm and character.
I know, right? So I'm pretty happy with that, man. Change around the lighting and stuff, and the room's really coming together. It was really cut off before we did start renovations. That you had the pool room on your left, and then when you came up, it was a few booths and stuff, and it just didn't really vibe well. It's just the room is too cut off. Now it's completely open. Gorgeous atmosphere. I'm pretty excited. I cannot wait to open and let everyone check it out.
I'm looking forward to seeing it and getting up there and shooting some stick myself. I've become a little bit of a pool shark over the years myself. Not really, but when I'm in Mexico, man, I'm in Mexico 3 months of the year. Everybody just plays pool all the time. So yeah, looking forward. Yeah. I mean, there's no pool downtown anymore either. I think you can play across the street from you guys, and probably that's it because Dooley's is gone. I mean, going into Dooley's was a laugh. You get a good little crowd. You go in, shoot some stick, play some darts, whatever. You know what I mean? There's nowhere really around to play pool anymore, kind of. So yeah, that's cool. Another thing I noticed is that you've got some new taps installed. It looks like you. Am I wrong in saying that you have the most beers on tap in the province right now?
You got her, man. You got her. We installed 5 new caps at Kitty. And I spoke to a lot of the draft guys around and stuff. We now have the most beer on tap in Newfoundland Labrador. It's an accolade that I had in my mind when we first bought it. We had 24 beer on tap, and that's a lot of beer, man.
A lot of kegs.
It is. And I looked into who had the most beer, and it was actually Duke of Duckworth.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I think Jack Astor's trumped them like a couple years ago, but they had a lot of beer on tap.
Right.
So yeah, we found out Duke had I think 27. So we installed 29 beer on draft.
No. And now, 2 more.
We have most beer on tap in Newfoundland Labrador, which I love. I think it's awesome.
It is awesome. And what's even more awesome about it is like you not compared it, but you said Jack Astor's. Like, I mean, Jack Astor's is probably 15 times the size of the Embassy. You know what I mean?
It is.
So it's cool that you guys have got that many beers there, and it still doesn't look crowded. It just looks sharp, and you know what I mean. There's lots of flavors and different choices there. I mean, that's such a great thing for your customers. One cool thing I noticed about when you and your brother took it over, Niall, was you really, really went to the people about their suggestions. I mean, you really wanted to hear what the people wanted, and you gave them what they wanted. I know you made some Facebook posts and just basically just said like, what should we do here? What does the customer want? And one thing you did was you took out the VLT machines. I mean, that must have been an interesting decision, because I speak to a lot of bar owners and bartenders and stuff, and a lot of people, a lot of businesses, everyone has their own opinions on them, whether you're into them or you're out of them or whatever. But a lot of businesses kind of live off those, especially in the colder, darker months of the year. So what was the decision behind that?
I fully get that a lot of businesses are run off that, and power to them, man. It is good money if you have a certain clientele. It does bring in a lot of money. In the previous bars I worked at, I've seen it before. The spot we had them in, I didn't like it. Like, it was downstairs, right in the way of everyone trying to eat and stuff, and we had a lot of complaints about it. And when we first took over, we did an interview or a online survey, and it's probably about 25 questions, and that was one of the biggest things, was people didn't like the VLTs there. So me and Bren, we sat down for a bit, had some on chats, thought about the money, thought about taking them out, and we said, you know what, scrap it. Let's remove them, man, and hope for the best. And you know what, the response was incredible. It was above and beyond, man. I feel like we have created more business without them there than with them being there.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, like you say, everybody kind of has their own opinions on them, and like you say, more power to people who are using them in their pubs to generate revenue or whatever. But yeah, it's also probably tough. I mean, you guys must face a lot of face a lot of adversity because of the size of the pub. Like, it's not a big spot, you know what I mean?
No,
I'm assuming that's probably why you're trying to really open up upstairs, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, with those machines there too, you had the bar and the machines. You had like a 2-foot space. When it was busy, you try to run food out there. It was brutal, and we found people didn't even want to sit down and play them that often. So, but yeah, 100% open upstairs does help. It's a small bar, and especially with these COVID regulations now, which I fully understand too, like the 50%. It's really hard, man, to keep a business running when our capacity regularly is 88. Right now it's 44.
Mm-hmm.
It cuts your best nights in half completely. Like, and that's if you're at capacity, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Now mile one being closed, it wouldn't be an issue before COVID that we'd fill the place 80 people on a Friday night. But
yeah,
now it's up in the air, man. It's pretty tough.
Yeah. One thing another thing I see firsthand, obviously, when I'm at the pub is you got fantastic staff working for you, and fantastic kitchen. The grub there is second to none. I mean, it's super, super tasty. I mean, price point is great. The staff serving it are always fantastic. One thing I love about the crew that always works at the embassy is, you don't feel like you're getting served upon. You just feel like it's one of the boys kind of just, bringing over a bit of food for you and having a chat. And, it was always laid back as care. It's like, so, you pretty much got your staff locked down. Is that kind of the same crew you've been working with now for a while? And is that the plan for the future, or?
It is, man. Now, maybe in the summertime, where we are building a deck. We're building a rooftop.
I had that as a question because I remember one night, a little late night, we were chatting about that, and you were talking about talk about that as well.
Yeah. So I think in the summertime we'll have to hire more staff because it's just going to be a lot busier. But the staff we have now, like Tracy Sullivan, she's been here. She got hired on 2 weeks after I did, and she's been here ever since. Nick Bertosi is one of our main bartenders.
Yeah, Nick. Was Nick the guy who had the TikTok?
Yeah, man. Yeah, the TikTok guy came in and gave Nick $500. Just
what was that about? Well, I seen it was something
that was wild, man. So this guy Thomas Pretty, I'm pretty sure his name is. He's like a big Newfoundland TikTok guy. He asked all his followers just to donate $1 or $2 because he always wanted to go to a restaurant and tip the server really well. And so Nick Bertos is working one day, and the video is great. Like I said, you look up at Thomas Pretty's TikTok. It's great. Just says, listen, all my followers gave me this money. I want to give you a tip. And you can see Nick Bertos in the video, like, okay. So Thomas says, put your hand out. Nick's like, okay. And he just 20, 40, 60, 81, up to $500. And Nick Bertosi, the server's just like, are you sure? Yeah, he says, "Come here, man, and give me a big hug." It was
No,
pretty wild.
yeah, I seen the video. I mean, that was such a cool thing. I mean, and good for Nick because he's awesome, man. I mean, he's brought me beer more than once on an occasion, and he's always good as gold, man. Real nice guy, super easy to chat with, and real nice. What's some of the new things the kitchen's cooking up? Any new menu items or what any plans for the summer in regards to that kind of stuff?
Yep. So we started doing like a People's Choice pizza every week, where every like midweek we'd ask our Facebook, Instagram crowd, what kind of pizza you want to see. And so you get some pretty wild stuff. Like some people say Oreo and cream pizza. That's not going to happen. But so for example, Philly cheesesteak pizza was put out there, Hawaiian stuff. So then that Sunday we would put out a Facebook vote saying, okay, between Philly cheesesteak, Hawaiian. I think we're gonna pick that up again because people love that.
I mean, it's a great way to keep your customers engaged too on social media. That's a huge part of it.
It is, man. Well, one thing is if you give the option for a customer to pick what they want, and it gets picked and like voted on and wins, they're gonna come down and buy it. So it's
exactly.
Like, it's a pretty good like guerrilla marketing type deal. Which one thing me and Brennan we've done well on, we find, is like our social media is pretty good. We try to focus on getting the crowd involved, all that stuff. And it seems like it works, I gotta say. So
no, absolutely. Yeah. Looking forward to coming down for a feed because the grub is always on par for sure. What's the plans with the deck? You mentioned the deck. Where's that going? I mean, there's not much space down there.
No, so right above our kitchen, there's like a flat roof. You'll see if you're coming down Ncaa Street, it's got mile one on your left. You'll see a big flat roof. So the deck's gonna go right up there, man. We had our engineer come in about 2 weeks ago. He's gonna drop some plans for us into the city. We got to redo the whole roof and stuff, so that's a bit of an issue, but we'll get past it. We tried to do it last year for the summer, but ends up the contractor we got came in and did it wrong, and then it never got back to us. I said, listen, man, this roof is not ready to put a deck on it. Can't be done, and he ghosted us. So
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was pretty tough, but you live and learn,
Yeah, absolutely. And will that add capacity will it add to your capacity?
Yep. So like the way these COVID regulations going on is you're at 50% capacity, but if you can have an outside deck, they ignore your actual capacity for inside and just add it on top, which is nice, which makes sense too. You're outside. As long as you can still do the 6 feet apart, like if each bubble of people has to be 6 feet apart, it's not tables, it's the persons. So as long as you follow those regulations, it adds up to your capacity.
So do you think you'll have that done? Will we have that up for this season, do you think, or is that still a little whiles away?
100%. We're taking on the renovation upstairs right now. We're going to bang that out. We're pretty much a couple days away of finishing, then the big cleanup, and then once we're done that, we're going straight to the deck.
Are you guys a little hands-on for the renovations yourself? You've been doing a bit of work yourself, or?
Yeah, actually, luckily, like as I was always at Aaron's Pub as like a bartender and bouncer, my main job was I was an electrician for 5 years.
Okay, cool. So you got a bit of expertise.
Yeah, so it definitely helps, man, to come to this stuff. Are really supportive, I gotta say. Like, shout out to everyone that's given us a hand and stuff like that. Like building this brick wall. I don't know masonry, but my buddy does, and I'll give him a hand and he'll show me how to do a lot of things and just stuff like that, man.
Similar to the group you had help you put that pool table up. Shit, man, I lost you again for a second. I don't know what's going on here today, but I must have bad connection. Yeah, I seen those pictures of the crew lifting up that pool table. I mean, that must have just been a hilarious experience trying to get that up.
It was crazy, man. Like, God love all our friends too, because they all volunteered, right? Like, we supplied some pizza and beer, but the pool table was 400 pounds. The slate was 200. And so shout out Dan Crummel. Dan's the guy who gave us the pool table, man. Really, really nice dude, respectful man. We had to hire a guy who was grand pianos to help us because it's in Dan's basement, and the stairwell was so tight. So it took us about 2 hours alone to get it out of the basement. Then we pull up to the bar. Obviously, we can't get up our own stairs. And so this guy that moves the grand pianos, he puts a plank up against the side of the roof, right? I look at him, I was like, what the hell do you think we're doing with that, man? He's like, well, we're just going to pull it up. It's like, well, that's a 400-pound table. So lo and behold, we put it there, and man, it goes right up like that. So the guys are all out of breath, taking a second. So, okay, boys, take a break. I was like, no, don't stop. There's about 400-pound pool table on the roof and like 6 men on each side. Pick it up and go, because we're gonna go to the roof, man.
You got about 1,000 pounds on the roof there. Let's get this thing in out of it.
Like go, yeah. But
yeah,
we got it in, man. Eventually, gotta love the guys that helped. They're all a huge help, man. I gotta say.
Oh no, that's really cool. That's awesome, Niall. So I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but fingers crossed. Hopefully, we're going to get everything open up here. What's the big plans for the next few months, Niall? What's going on? Anything going on for the summer? Live music, grub, and just going to keep her rocking?
Yeah. Want to have music throughout the entire week. We were just hitting a Wednesday to Saturday schedule.
Mm-hmm.
But it's tough too. Like, you're trying to line up these nights that are really going to work and stuff like that. Of course, the weekends are always going to work. Then you line up some gigs for Wednesday night, Thursday night. Like, we just start doing Dale Cooper blues session for Wednesdays. Nick Earl was doing every Thursday. Friday was always someone different. Then we have Fred for Saturdays. Music schedule is going to say pretty similar, but I want to try to expand it more. For a bit of grub, I'm just going to keep trying to push out good home cooked meals. One good thing that I love that we don't have is deep fryers, so it's all oven baked, man, which is a big difference when it comes to pub grub.
Yeah, absolutely.
So just try to put out some better food. Well, now we have the most beer on tap, Newfoundland Labrador. So putting out a lot of pints. We are reaching out to a lot more local breweries too. We just got one of the guys from Cornerbrook. What's the place called there?
Bootleg.
There you go, Bootleg. Yeah,
yep,
we just got one of those on tap right before we close.
Cool.
So of course, when we close, there's 20. Well, previously we had 24 beer on draft, so we have all this keg beer that you can't return. It's going to be thrown away, so we've been pumping away at that, coming out for renovations, me and Bren. So.
Well, if you need anybody to give you a hand, my number.
There's lots of beer, man. It might be flat now, but it's still got to be drank.
Beer is beer, my friend. Beer is beer.
Yes, sir,
no, that's awesome, Niall. I really appreciate you coming on, taking the time to come on and have a chat with me today. Really looking forward to catching up and sharing a pint in the future, man. Best of luck with everything. And hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Dave, man. I really appreciate it, man. I got to say. So, like I said, cross our fingers. Hopefully now this Saturday we're all open and good to go.
Absolutely, man. All right. Well, we'll catch up with you soon. Take care, Niall. Thanks again. Niall Hickey from the Newfoundland Embassy, everyone. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Big thanks to Niall Hickey there of the Newfoundland Embassy for coming on. Really appreciate him taking the time out of his day to pop on and have a chat and gossip a little bit about the embassy and all the things that are going on. I thought it was a great time to get somebody from the community who I work with, solely and get somebody who's probably looking forward to getting back to, life being a bit more normal, probably than most, you know what I mean? His kind of work and his life kind of depends on it right now, with everything being shut down. His pub isn't open. So yeah, big thanks to Niall for coming on. I mean, really, really neat how they keep the legacy of Lars going. If you haven't got down in the spring or the summer for a Lars custard cone, you're really missing out because it's they're delicious. And I mean, you got to make sure you get down and check out the embassy too. It's just such a cool little place. I mean, the staff makes you feel so welcome, and Niall and Brendan are always there hanging out too, or working, and they're just, you walk in, it's like you're hanging out at one of the boys' house. It's just a good laugh, and I mean, everyone's sitting around having pints and telling stories, and the food is killer. Really, really great food. So make sure you get out and support these guys. I mean, they do a bunch of the community as well, and they're just really, really standout guys. So make sure you do get down and check out the embassy. That about does it for me, guys. Looking forward to hopefully getting back out and doing some gigs and seeing some faces here soon. That's gonna be really nice. Next week, I actually have my first guest from outside of Newfoundland. I mean, I've had a few guests from outside of Newfoundland, but they've been Newfoundlanders. But next week is a guy who he's a friend of mine who's I'm not going to give away too much, but he spent some time in Newfoundland, and he's now back home working. So thanks everybody who's tuned in. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel and on Spotify and follow me and all that stuff, guys. So still looking for a sponsor, by the way. If you're looking to sponsor me, give me a shout. And I'd love to get your name aboard on this podcast. Thanks everybody for tuning in again. We'll see you next week, and have a good one out there. Peace.